I'm talking about the predator to Jesus Christ pipeline that is Russell Brand. Explain to me how all these men who are all predators, who have a history of being misogynistic, all somehow end up under patriarchal religions.
Now, this is very interesting because at the time you wasn't Muslim then.
Yeah, that's right.
And now, alhamdulillah, you are.
Yeah.
Trump, in his alleged Bible, please.
Have you ever asked God for forgiveness? That's a tough question. I'm not sure I have. I just go and try and do a better job from there. I don't think so.
And then now Russell Brand, who went from just playboy to misogynist to drug addict to...
Obviously, I've been through a lot of things personally. I know you've been through a lot of things personally too. But for me, I've reached a point where the figure, the personage, the presence of Christ became overwhelming, unavoidable, welcome, necessary.
The second coming of Christ, apparently. All these people getting baptized. And this is why I say I love freedom of religion. I think you should have the right to exist. But any religion that upholds the man as the center of it is bad for you and me. So let's dive into it. Russell Brand facing charges of rape and assault, multiple counts. Not surprised. You're not surprised. I'm not surprised. We knew this was coming. I don't know, but I fully believed he did it. I believe the victims. You know why? Because men assault and think they're having fun.
People also dress up in costumes for this bridge run, so it's very exciting. It's very exciting. People.
Alex Bozargian was covering a fun run for her Savannah, Georgia station, that's WSAV, on Saturday. And you can see one of the runners, a man in a blue long-sleeve T-shirt, as he moves behind her and appears to slap her on her backside. Bozargian tweeted this following that incident: "To the man who smacked my butt on live TV, you violated, objectified, and embarrassed me." She's also filed a police report yesterday, and the man has been banned from future races.
This isn't the behavior we want in society. So yeah, do I believe Russell Brand assaulted somebody? Absolutely. Men are openly doing it in the streets and thinking they're being cute. You're not being cute.
It's the early 2010s, and it seems everywhere you look, there's Russell Brand, starring in Hollywood films like Get Him to the Greek, headlining comedy specials like Russell Brand Messiah Complex.
You know that an immigrant is just someone who used to be somewhere else.
And strutting across the red carpet as the husband and arm candy of pop superstar Katy Perry.
At a certain point, it seemed as if Russell Brand was going to be the next big thing. He was married to Katy Perry. He was getting comedy deals. He was being courted by movie producers. Everyone, for a while, wanted to work with Russell Brand.
But Russell Brand of 2025 is facing very serious charges for his alleged behavior from the past. Today, prosecutors in the UK authorized police to charge Brand with multiple sexual offenses involving 4 different women.
Now remember, because chat says, sometimes I find it hard to know all of this and not be a misandrist. Just a reminder, in order to be a misandrist, you would think that men are inherently born this way. It is not that you believe men are raised under patriarchy and normalize sexual assault, and therefore you hate men who are raised this way. I think it's okay to be upset that certain people are raised in cultures that justify and encourage them to sexually assault people. Even Donald Trump recently said, like, oh, you can't call a woman beautiful anymore, but you can lose your job or get canceled, but I think you're beautiful.
If I said they were beautiful, that's the end of my political career. You're not allowed to say a woman is beautiful. You're not allowed to say, hello, you're a beautiful woman. You're a beautiful, very beautiful woman. If you do that, that's the end of your political career.
They twist it into being like, I'm just trying to say you're attractive. I'm just trying to say smile more. I'm just trying to cop a feel because I want you to know your boobs are great. Being a misandrist, I know we joke about it a lot, but to be an actual misandrist, you would have to think that men are second, that men are lowly, that men are inherently... That's why misogyny is so shitty, because men are inherently walking around inherently believing that because women are born women, they are literally biologically inferior. I hope, we don't believe you are born inferior by how you're born, period. Nobody is born inferior. We believe you can be born into cultures that reinforce behavior that is deplorable, that is gross and disgusting. But I hope nobody in my audience actually believes anyone is born inherently worthless or bad or awful or genetically inferior. Everybody is born perfect, and we live in a world in which we must learn to adapt to that imperfection, the imperfection of the world, right? Like you are not ever born wrong. You are simply born you. And then the world molds you and shapes you and makes you feel bad for being that person.
UK's Crown Prosecution Service writing in a statement, in part, we have concluded that Russell Brand should be charged with offenses including rape, sexual assault, and indecent assault. These relate to reported non-recent offenses between 1999 and 2005 involving 4 women. The Metropolitan Police then
You know what they say, if there's 4, there's more.
announcing that charges have been filed.
Russell Brand is facing 4 unique charges, and the most serious of them is rape. That has a penalty of up to life in prison. But sexual assault, for example, is also a serious charge where the maximum is up to 10 years in prison.
Brand responding to the charges online.
I was a fool, man. I was a fool before I lived in the light of the Lord.
Oh, Jesus saved him, bros. He's good. Doesn't matter what he did before. Jesus got him. It's good now. I guess we can forgive him.
I was a drug addict,
I'm using sarcasm.
a sex addict, and an imbecile. But what I never was a rapist. I've never engaged in non-consensual activity. I pray that you can see that by looking in my eyes.
He said, I pray you can see that by looking in my eyes. Let's watch the full clip that he offered us so we don't have to go off a snippet.
Hello. Firstly, thank you for these incredible and overwhelming messages of support. We're very fortunate in a way to live in a time where there's so little trust in the British government. We're very fortunate, I suppose, that this is happening at a time where we know that the law has become a kind of weapon to be used against people, institutions, and sometimes entire nations.
I love how he sets up the whole thing about him being a rapist with, we can't trust the government, we can't trust anything they said. Also, I'm a Christian.
That will not accept and tolerate levels of corruption that are unprecedented. I'm speaking particularly to those of you that are watching this in the UK. How do you feel about your legal system right now?
I love the way that they manipulate. They add doubt. They make sure that you doubt the system. So the system that's coming for him, it's wrong. He's so good at, look at this manipulation. This is why I say predator to Jesus Christ pipeline, predator to religious pipeline, predator to Muslim pipeline. It's big. It's big. Islam and Christians really fighting for who gets the predator next. Okay? Andrew Tate, Russell Brand. Perfect examples.
How do you feel about some of the high-profile cases that are not being pursued and prosecuted? How do you feel that the Southport murders were handled? How do you feel about the government of Keir Starmer? Now, that's just sort of general context. I've always told you guys that when I was young and single, before I had my wife and family, we're just out of shot over there, my beautiful children.
My beautiful children. Fun fact, just a reminder that Russell Brand broke up with Katy Perry, asked for a divorce right when she was about to go on stage via her middle of her tour. Do you guys remember that? She literally got the message via text that he wanted a divorce right before she was about to go on stage. Wow, what a time to tell her, dude. What a time to tell her.
I was a fool, man. I was a fool before I lived in the light of the Lord.
So just a reminder that the predator to religious pipeline is really a thing, and you have to pay attention to it. Okay, I'll link this in the chat. Okay, so that's from the New Yorker. That's Russell Brand's full message. Let's go back to the video we were watching initially, and this is by ABC.
Charges come after police launched an investigation into Brand following allegations of rape, sexual assault, and emotional abuse made against him in 2023 in a report by the Times of London.
Also, just to point out that if he's saying he was a drug addict, he was all these horrible things, he goes, but I was never a rapist. Well, okay, first of all, how do you identify rape? Like, how do you even think that works? Like, you would be amazed at how many people are literally assaulting people. And they're like, that's not assault. Because again, we have been conditioned to believe that rape is only when you've bruised or beaten somebody, or rape is when, it has to look a particular way. But that's why we are asking, especially for those of us who are adults in the 2010s, those of us who are adults in the 2000s, we know that a lot of our media was very rapey and people just thought it was funny. The fact that they, in so many of these like types of media, get women drunk in order to make them say yes, like that's coercion. That's a form of rape. Yeah, you have to have a lot of rude awakenings when you're raised in that environment to realize like, oh, we've really normalized just touching people's boobs. Like we've really normalized just touching people's bodies. We've really normalized just touching people's butts. Like we've really normalized a lot of really horrible things. And we need to stop normalizing it, but to remember that this is a global phenomenon. I think Iraq just lowered their age of consent to like 9. Like we are at fault as a species. We need to, all of us, women included, all of us are raised under the patriarchy. We need to deconstruct. So these men, for Russell to say that was the past me, yeah, but did the past you like hold yourself accountable for your past crimes? I don't think so. And joining a church and being a part of a religion, like that's not enough. And I'm not saying he should be tortured. I'm not saying he should, necessarily do X, Y, Z. I'm saying he has to do something. And it has to be more than pretending it didn't happen.
4 women claimed they were assaulted by Brand between 2006 and 2013. One of the accusers says she was just 16 at the time of the alleged assault.
And that's the other thing. UK age of consent is lower. So maybe that's his reasoning. But remember, Andrew Tate bragged about having sex with a 16-year-old because the age of consent was allowed. Even when his own audience called him out, him and Tristan said like, what's your problem? It was consensual. She was old enough. Remember that these men will have sex with teenagers and say, but the age of consent, but you still had sex with a teenager, dude.
They spoke anonymously in the 2023 Channel 4 documentary, Russell Brand in Plain Sight.
I was pushing him away. And so I ended up having to punch him really hard in the stomach to get him off. And I was crying, and he said, I only want to see your mascara run anyway.
It's unclear as to whether or not the same 4 individuals who are a part of this criminal complaint would be the same that we learned about in the 2023 documentary. And the reason for that is in the documentary, the timeline is anywhere between 2006 to 2013. But what the CPS has put out is that the time frame there is from 1999 to 2005. And so could it be the same people? Yes.
Discord said a lot of former predators do convert to a religion to absolve them of their issues, and plenty spaces accept and protect them. I mean, I think that's so true. And we've seen that with the Catholic Church. We've seen the way they protect predators because they believe in like absolving of sins, because they believe in forgiveness. But they forget that's God's job, not yours. And this is why I say be careful of men who continue to uphold patriarchal religions and use it as an excuse to forgive their past sins. If you look at Catholicism or Christianity through a philosophical lens, I think it's obvious that when God says turn to the Lord and the person you were in the past is no more, he doesn't mean you don't have to be held accountable, girl. It's about talking about how you can be someone different, that you can hold yourself accountable, that you can say, look at the way that I have failed and look at the way that I shall succeed. It's to give hope to people who feel hopeless. It's not meant to excuse you of your bad behavior. But I think people see that scripture and think, yeah, I'm absolved. So everything I did yesterday doesn't count. Everything you did yesterday does count. And you must spend the rest of your life repenting, giving penance, saying your Hail Marys and your Our Fathers. None of you are doing that. None of you are doing the penance. And when you get to heaven, St. Peter gonna have a list of all the shit you did, because that's how it's supposed to work. So all of these men joining these religions thinking, well, it happened yesterday, so it doesn't matter. Girl, I hope God does exist. And I hope when you face her, you realize like that little dream you were believing in, no ma'am.
Brand denied the accusations at the time, posting on his social media.
Amidst this litany of astonishing, rather baroque attacks are some very serious allegations that I absolutely refute. During that time of promiscuity, the relationships I had were absolutely always consensual.
I think the way that he responded to these allegations, I think it's a little bit of a mixed bag, because while he does deny that these things happened, he also acknowledges that there was a period of time in his life that was chaotic.
Well, it's exactly. It was chaotic. You don't get it. I was such a bad person. Yeah. Discord says they care more about predators than they do gay people, to be honest. You know what's so funny? I saw a TikTok that was like, you have the 10 Commandments and not one of them talk about gay people. And it's so funny how religious people will be like, I believe in the 10 Commandments. I believe in the 10 Commandments. But you're saying God's name in vain. You're not going to church every Sunday. You're not honoring your mother and father. You're sleeping with your neighbor's wife. You're coveting. You know what I'm saying? Like, they sit there and target gay and trans people when we're not even on the 10 Commandments. Leave us alone.
It's unclear what connection today's filing has to do with the previous allegations. The criminal charges are the first Russell Brand could be facing in court. Brand got his start as a radio and TV personality in the UK. Here he is on MTV in the early 2000s. People started to learn his name from his charismatic comedy in breakout hit films like Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
My ex-boyfriend.
Oh, right. Hey, I'm Alder Snow.
I know who you are, yeah, you're very, very famous.
Yeah, I am, for my sins.
And voicing Dr. Nefario in several of the Despicable Me movies.
Some fella just stole a pyramid.
These were films that were popcorn movies, or well received by audiences. It almost felt like you were seeing a fictionalized version of who Russell Brand actually is in real life.
Releasing a New York Times best-selling autobiography, My Bookie Book, in 2007, which chronicled his public battle with addiction, something he discussed with former Nightline anchor Bill Weir in 2010.
When did it bottom out? When did you realize you had to make a change?
I'd lost my job at MTV because of some inappropriate crack-induced on-screen lunacy. They said if you continue taking drugs at the rate you are, within 6 months you'll be dead, in prison, or in a lunatic asylum. I considered all three options, and I thought, lunatic asylum, that'll probably be horrible. Death, well, no one knows yet what that entails. And prison, not for with these eyebrows, I don't think so.
Was it difficult?
It was the hardest thing I've ever done.
In 2009, Brand took center stage hosting the Video Music Awards, where his flirtation with Katy Perry led to a real-life romance.
What was it about Katy that touched you?
I think I was growing up anyway, Bill. Eventually I wanted a companion, a friend. So it's the most normal relationship I've ever had. Like the other day, seriously, we were getting ready, Bill, to go out. She goes, "Oh, you're wearing that shirt, are you?" I went, "Yeah." Bill, I did not wear that.
A little more than a year after getting together, they married in a lavish wedding in India. But just 14 months after tying the knot, he and Katy Perry divorced.
Damn.
Their breakup documented in Perry's 2012 documentary, Part of Me. The heart-wrenching scene showing the moment she says Brand asked her for a divorce via text right before she went on stage for a show.
There is a viral moment in Katy Perry's documentary where she finds out that Russell Brand no longer wants to be married, and she's very emotional. She's crying, and then she snaps to it, puts on her game face, and goes out and performs.
Brand recently commented,
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Not a good guy. Not a good guy. Now she's married to Legolas, so they seem happy. Okay, she's married to Orlando Bloom, and they seem much happier now. Oh, yeah.
on his podcast, Stay Free, about their breakup.
And the reasons that our marriage didn't work are the normal human reasons. Marriages don't work, and I have nothing but respect for her, even though I obviously disagree with her political views.
Brand's own political views in recent years have leaned conservative. He's posted photos on Instagram from his visit to President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. He's also talked about his commitment to Christianity in a recent interview with Sean Hannity on Fox News.
Since becoming Christian, I recognize that many of the principles that were made clear to me in 12-step recovery reach a kind of fulfillment, continuation, and elevation.
There's been a colossal change in Russell Brand's public image. He went from being this yogi, wellness, kind of hippie.
He is exactly the red flag you see in like cult, like Jared Leto vibes. Somebody said that in chat earlier. Absolute agree. The hippie, Jesus-esque white man who's like, come believe in me. I believe in Jesus Christ. I'll go fuck you so good. You'll see the light of the Lord. Okay. When I come into you, it's like Jesus blessing you, like he turned wine or water into wine. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's that guy. He's like, come into the desert with me. Trust me. Let me fuck you. And when I have sex with you, you'll reach like glorifying orgasm or some shit. Exactly. The twin flame cult. Oh my God. I have a video. We're going to watch that this week, probably tomorrow. Twin flame cult. We have a video to watch. Like, absolutely that vibe. White men who look like Jesus, red flags. Okay? White men who look like Jesus, red flags. Stay with me, girls. White men who look like Jesus, red flags. Always. Always. Chet says, why you go so good at accents? It's the autism. I don't even think I'm good at accents. I think I'm good at mirroring people and mimicking them because I learn how to express myself through other people's mannerisms. So I actually think I just spent all my life like being like, if I was Russell Brand, I love Katy Perry. I respect her. Donald Trump, you know, like you sit there and you try to embody, it's the theater kid in me, girl. It's the theater kid in me.
Funny guy guru to now being this Trump.
Exactly. Don't answer that DM. If Russell Brand slides into your DMs, don't answer it. I would tell you if it happened, but I would not answer it.
Inspired hanging out with Fox News host, Christian conservative. significant difference.
Brand is expected in court for the first time on May 2nd. Much like the U.S., if the case against Russell Brand does go to trial, it'll be the prosecution's burden to prove each and every element of the crime beyond a reasonable doubt in order to convict Russell Brand.
Okay, now, this was ABC News. I'll go ahead and link the video in the chat. You guys can check them out. This is Russell Brand explaining it himself. Just came out less than a day ago. He did a live stream on his own channel. Listen to how he tells the story. It's amazing to me how people continue to fall for evangelical pastors with private jets. I don't know how y'all are still falling. Did you see that pastor? You did. The guy who's like, shut the doors until we make $40,000 for the church. Girl. How did every single one of those people not leave that church and never come back? I cannot believe grown-ups sat in a church and listened to a man say, you cannot leave this church until you give me $40,000. And he had anyone come to service the next week. Okay, without victim blaming, which is real. We also need to hold ourselves accountable for how we uplift the patriarchy, maintain racism, allow misogyny to be relevant and prevalent in our lives. And it's bullshit. It's bullshit. You can be smart and be bamboozled. You can be smart and be a victim. But let's be a little bit more wise in how we deconstruct the churches that we go to, the communities we uplift, and the leaders we keep putting in those positions. Let's listen to Russell tell his own story.
What I feel when looking at it with my heart as open as I can manage is that knowing that there are people that to whatever degree and for whatever reason willing to participate in a venture of this nature means that I recognize that I must have in some ways caused harm. In those Gideon hedonistic days, those ludicrous dark days, those days where I was part of a culture that then seemed to warmly applaud and celebrate Epicureanism, the relentless pursuit of pleasure, a kind of casual godlessness, the kind of godlessness that leads to the erection, forgive the word, of false gods everywhere. 1 minute this is...
All right, pause there, buddy. Jesus, I feel like I'm back in church. Just kidding. My church has never sounded like this. Let me just say this. Hedonism is a trap. In a philosophical sense, it is 100% a trap. Okay, I'm not a fan of hedonism. You're not a fan of hedonism. But the answer to hedonism is not religion. Religion is the other trap. So there's religion and there's hedonism. Religious philosophy, especially patriarchal religious philosophy, is not the answer to hedonism. They are both traps. They are both cages that claim to give you freedom and salvation. And he is now peddling the other side of the trap. So now, instead of being the rock star who does cocaine, he's now the Bible thumper who preaches Jesus. He did not grow. He did not get better. But it's enough for people to think he did because the branding has shifted.
Is your idol. The next minute, this is your idol. Fall down, bow down, and worship at their corporate and consumer altars. When I was in that world, I must have been captured by a kind of darkness. But remember, for 22 and a half years, I've been drug and alcohol free, and I have a pretty good memory of accounts. And I also know that I am a person that very much respects the idea of consent. And I pray that over the coming months, when I participate with full volition and total cooperation in any legal inquiry, we'll get to see how the justice system operates in the United Kingdom. We'll get to see what the relationships are between various organizations.
That's the new Predator talking point as well. Andrew Tate uses it all the time. I'm a free man. I'm an innocent man. That's why we're here. That's why my brother and I are here. We're free men, innocent men. Like, they come out, they show up, they go, we're here, we've shown up. Now it's the government's decision to actually find something we did wrong. As if it's that simple. Like, they always say we're cooperating, we're getting along with authority, we're not fighting the police because you think you're going to get away with it. But it's a good like a dog whistle almost, like a good, maybe not dog whistle, like a manipulation to their audience. Like, yeah, he must be innocent because he's turning himself in. Yeah, he must be innocent because he has nothing to hide. That's why he's showing up.
Organizations, to list a few, the CPS, the Met, the Times, Channel 4. We'll see if there are any unusual relationships between some of those organizations. It's difficult not to reflect that indeed the people participating in this are victims of a type, but not victims of me, because I've always been open. You can go and watch my stand-up comedy. You can read my book. I couldn't have been more clear that I was out there having sex with anybody who wanted to. And let me tell you, when you're a famous guy, people are up.
Oh, yeah. If you're famous and there's people who want to have sex with you, you can't rape people. That was the Kobe Bryant argument. The Kobe Bryant argument was, how could Kobe rape somebody if people want to have sex with Kobe? Sounds really good out loud, right? Like, why would you need to rape somebody if you could have sex with anybody? Because rape isn't about sex. Rape is never about sex. Same way incels won't just go hire a sex worker because it's not about the sex. Incels want to know they can have women they don't have to pay for. Rapists want victims that know they don't want it. I hate how good this argument sounds to the human brain, but it's such a bad argument.
People are up for it. I got to be honest with you, that was part of the reason I even bothered becoming famous in the first place, because I thought this will be a glorious opportunity for hedonistic adventure. Surely then my life will mean something. Surely I can find some value in the comfort of strangers. Surely I can lose myself in endless pleasure. Well, you know, as a follower of Jesus Christ, I recognize that sex is a very, very powerful force. In fact, it says in the Bible that sex should only be practiced within the confines of a loving marriage, because
maybe him and Adon should become friends. Just kidding. Adon, you stay away from Russell Brand. That was a joke. That was a joke. If anyone saw my last video, not having sex before marriage is fine. Being religious is fine. You know, all of it is fine. But if you use your church to hide your past crimes against humanity, even if it's outside of a legal sense, then your religion isn't really all it's chalked up to be. And anytime I hear a person say, like, I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, okay, then you need to follow that up with aligning with what would Jesus do. WWJD girls, what would Jesus do? And you know what's ironic is sometimes I wish there was a God so he could come down and be like, that bitch did it, bro. That bitch totally did it, bro. I saw him. I was there. I couldn't do anything about it because I'm all powerful and I could have stopped it, but I didn't stop it, but he definitely did it. You know what I mean? This all powerful God that's like, yeah, I would have saved your kid from getting raped, but you know, I couldn't do it. I was busy, you know, but I saw it. It happened for sure because I know everything. Sometimes I wish we really did have flies on the wall that could be like, we got the tape. You know what I mean? But we don't. So we have to use our wisdom and our judgment to come to conclusions. And I'm telling you, he has everything. We should make a bingo card of if you have 6 out of 8 of these, definitely did it. And he's got it. 4 then more people came out saying he's got 4 or more cases of crimes against him. Okay. Pipeline of party boy, hedonistic guy, fuck boy branding to Christian follower, Jesus Christ worshiper. Okay. Hello. Treats his ex with cruelty and shows no empathy towards her. Okay. What else? Oh, uses his children as a weapon, right? For branding. Love that. And right-wing pipeline grift. Now he's on Rumble. Guys, he's on Rumble. And all the most free speech advocates on Rumble. Free speech mentioned. Free speech mentioned. You know what I'm saying?
Force is so powerful.
Oh, and of course, white guy who looks like Jesus. That's the most important one.
There's no question about that. I've learned a lot, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to tell the truth, to participate in a process of reconciliation and healing. Let me know in the comments and chat if you think that the United Kingdom judicial system and media is...
Let me know in the chat. Did I rape her? Let me know. What are we going to do without all these men? Russell's facing this really scary misandrous world, and I'm just really worried about him, you know? I really wish we would just respect all these men. They're really struggling. Was she wearing lipstick? You know what lipstick means, don't you?
Capable of delivering that. Obelia, sex without love is empty. True pancake, Christ is king. Buddy,
Christ is king, red flag.
105. Don't worry, Russell, the motives in the UK are blatant given the historical context. It is pretty extraordinary the way that these events have worked out chronologically, isn't it? It's pretty interesting that because most the allegations, just so you know, the charges in fact relate to events between 1999 and 2004. You probably won't even have heard of me until, I don't know, 2005, 2006. You know, so it means that when you heard of me, these things are already alleged to have taken place. So all the time that I was married to Katy Perry, all the time that the Me Too movement was happening, all the time, remember when I was talking openly about the coronavirus and the corruption during the coronavirus era and how the media lied to us and shamed us and tried to control us?
Look at what he's doing. Look at what he's doing. He's like, remember when I was one of you? Remember how I was there for you? Remember I had your back? You better have my back. You know what I mean? Like, remember that, right? Remember. Like he's dog whistling. He's like, this is all propaganda, right? This is all propaganda. Wait, chat says, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I just learned that free will according to the Bible has to do with humans having the free will to worship God. Does anyone know this? Right, like I grew up in Catholicism. You have free will, and what you do with it matters. You can choose Christ or not choose Christ. Christ isn't going to make you choose him. But of course, if you don't choose him, you go to hell. Okay, Mabel with the super chat, thank you so much, says, let me see. What do you say, girl? We're talking about a society that thought it was hilarious when Fleece Johnson was bragging about raping men. Men don't empathize with each other. How can we hope for them to empathize with us? Well, I think they're raised that way. They're raised, one, to never admit they were raped or assaulted. They're raised to feel belittled, right? When they come out with their stories. This happened with Terry Crews when he came out with his assault story and nobody fucking cared. They laughed at him. They literally mocked him. So men are raised to mock each other. And because we're animals and we're such tribal little herd animals, we do just like, we bully together. Okay? We bully, we say horrible things to each other. And look, all of us are guilty, but not all of us are guilty the way they're guilty. And I think that's what's important. All of us are guilty. Not all of us are guilty the way they're guilty. And like, that's the point. When you're guilty the way they're guilty, we are playing a different game. And the fact that we can't so easily hold them accountable is that's the telling story of how fucked up we are. As a species, it's not about the time we're here. It's not about right now. It's about as a collective, always, forever, since day one. Human beings, as a species, this is where we are. And we are moving within our nature. That's why when conservatives say it's unnatural to be gay, girl, it's natural to rape. Everything is nature. That's why you must have a deeper, more elevated relationship with your nature. It is within your nature to rape. It is within your nature to hate. It is within your nature to be violent. This is why we introspect and extrospect. So we remove our relationship with our most base animal self, and we have a higher relationship with self, right? Mabel, another super chat. Thank you so much. Says Fleece Johnson brags about it on a podcast now. Damn. I think that's, you know what I mean? That's such a testament too. I just saw Lady Gaga show up on Howard Stern. Howard Stern, girl, how rich and privileged do you have to be so you can say no to these fucking gigs? The fact that Lady Gaga uses her free will to go on Howard Stern modern day in this year of our Lord FKA Twigs is insane to me. In this year of our Lord FKA Twigs, Lady Gaga is still doing gigs with Howard Stern, one of the largest like misogynists, one of the most, I think, disgusting, vile people who's ever had a microphone. At what point are we privileged enough to stop engaging with these horrible people? And at what point are you just like uplifting them in your collaborations? So, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not Gaga fan. I'm not listening to her latest album. I'm over her. Okay? Disappointed because she's such a talent. But see how talent doesn't equate to morals? Okay? And that's the problem. Oh, he was so talented, though. She was so talented, though. Your talent doesn't matter, girl, if you're upholding the patriarchy at the expense of everybody else in such a dangerous and obvious way. And look, we've all been there. Drew Afawalo has that great book about her time as a pick-me. We've all been there. The question is, as you age and you have more power and you have more freedom, and this is why I encourage you to keep continuing forward. I know we're in the 2 steps back of the 3 steps forward era, but there is going to be a 3 steps forward, and I need you guys to have resources, jobs, connections, networking, education. I need you guys to stay curious, open-minded. I need you to stay interested in the future because everybody else isn't thinking about the future. And that's why the world is the way it is, because all of these billionaires, they don't care about the future. That's why they're destroying the planet. All these people who go, well, if they're going to do it, I'm going to do it because I'm going to die. Yeah, but other people are still going to be alive after you die, girl. Nobody is thinking about the future. So if you want to participate and do what they're doing, I mean, it is what it is. Humans are going to human, but I don't recommend it. I'm not going to make a prescription, but I don't recommend it. Okay?
How companies like Pfizer and Moderna made record profits, how the UK inquiry into COVID was tepid, how people like Anthony Fauci ought to be regarded as criminals, how we have to have an open debate about the causes of war, whether they're the Middle Eastern wars or wars between Russia and Ukraine. It's interesting to me that once I was on the radar of the deep state and many of their
conspiracy theory terms,
affiliates within media, because the media and the government are not separate entities. The media and the institutions of power are not separate entities. We know that now. We'll start off by looking at the United Kingdom. If you are a UK resident, how do you feel in the UK right now? How do you feel about the rape gang crisis? How do you feel that there's
the rape gang crisis? Interesting.
to be no inquiry into the
This is racism, dog whistling.
Rape gang crisis in the UK, but there is time and evidently resources to look at alleged incidents, in my case, 20 years ago, 25 years ago. And by the way,
I can't believe they're paying attention to my rape when there's other rapes happening right now. There's always rapes happening, girl. Okay. Do you remember when Washington State, when we were talking about rape culture, probably around 2011 to 2015, and we were talking about those 6,000 unchecked rape kits that had been submitted by people in the state and had not been checked by people? It doesn't matter how long ago it happened. We're behind. If anything, that shows me that we're behind. Not that we should ignore his rape and focus on the ones happening today. We should acknowledge that we are letting people fall through the cracks and people are getting away with their crimes.
I don't believe in that statute of limitations stuff. I think if someone committed a crime 20 years ago, 30 years ago, if a crime was committed, the person should be held accountable. Justice. I believe in justice. I believe in integrity. I believe in truth. Why? Because I believe in God. I believe that we're here to love one another, but I don't believe the media believe that, and I don't believe the institutions in democracy in the United Kingdom are acting like truth, freedom, and the sanctity of the human spirit are a priority right now. Do you believe that? Let me.
Wow. God, what a manipulator, bro. He's literally talking to his audience like they're 5-year-olds. He's like, you don't believe that, right? We can't trust any of these institutions. So everybody investigating you, we can't trust. Got it.
Let me know if you're watching this in the UK. Let's have a little look at this stuff. Yeah, what do you like? I became a Christian, preempting that.
Wait, Chad says, does he look like he's reading a teleprompter to anyone else? Well, he is reading a script. He used to read a 1-page document. Guys, all of these people are reading off something. You know, they're being backed by conservative donors, millions of dollars. They're reading scripts. Like, that's why they're not just streamers. They're propagandists. They're not just guys in their bedrooms having fun with you. They are reading off sheets. They have a team of people who put these talking points together, right? Like, just a reminder that the shtick is, I'm one of you. But the reality is he is the furthest thing from one of you.
Charges would appear from deep history. I acted hedonistically, knowing that in retrospect it would all pay off. But what I have to remind myself, it's weird, because if you're a trending topic on something like X, and if you are watching us on X or YouTube or wherever you're watching us, remember, you're going to have to watch us ultimately on Rumble. It's difficult not to get sort of solipsistic and narcissistic and think that you're kind of significant and important. I recognize that my only significance and importance is one of the operators in new media space that present a radical threat to patterns of communication that were long established.
The reason Russell rose, because I remember watching Russell during COVID, and I remember like, what is this change that he's doing? And I'm so confused, like, what is this shift? He's going from this liberal guy, him, Joe Rogan, all these people, they were all liberal guys who were rebels against the conservative, establishment initially. And then they now, because being a conservative is like the new rebel, which is such bullshit, right? They are back in that state of being because they think it's like the new rebellious thing to do. And then they're going to switch up. Did you see a bunch of people on TikTok were talking about Candace Owens switching up because now she's coming out against Trump or whatever? And people are like, yeah, because she's not getting paid. I mean, conservative numbers are down. Ben Shapiro's numbers are down. It's kind of interesting to see. But I think a part of it is that these donors are gone. I don't know, though, of course. But just watching it as a bystander, there's a shift in the air, girls. Winds in the east. Da, na, na, na. Like, there's definitely a shift happening. And the question is, what does it mean? I don't know. But I'm excited to see. That's what I'm saying, girl. You better stick around for the next 4 years because we have got to see this thing through, because I think it's going to be interesting. But it's going to be worth sticking around for. Chelsea, I was watching Chelsea on the Financial Diet put out a video yesterday, and she is like feeling it, okay? Now, look, I am practicing personally. Obviously, I'm meditating. I'm using like a level of, I think I'm trying to be a little bit, I don't want to say it this way, but I appreciate people are crying and they're really feeling it. I am trying to radically accept things. I'm in a very philosophical headspace, as you guys know. I mean, I have a whole framework over it. I'm stressed, but I'm ready. And I kind of want to get people closer to that. Not that I don't think you should cry. Not that I've cried over the stress. I've cried over the stress. But I think that it's important for us to remember, like, crying over the stress does not mean we're giving up. And I think it's nice to see Chelsea express herself and to feel an embodied experience. It's nice to see Kat Black express herself. But I also want to remind all of us not to feel crushed under the weight of this pressure, because it is so temporary. It always is temporary. All of life is temporary, right? But please do not cry because of these men. You know what I'm saying? I already cried so much over Trump in 2016. And he's not getting one more single tear of mine. But I will cry for the people that he's hurting. And I will mourn for the people that have been killed because of him. I will mourn for the Palestinians killed because of Israeli forces. But I'm not crying because of Israel. I'm crying because Palestinians are dying. I'm not crying because Trump. I'm crying because people are being targeted by Trump. Very different. Nothing wrong with crying. Just make sure it's not Trump getting the benefit of those tears. Or this man here, this devil man right here. Talk about a devil in sheep's clothing. Men who look like Jesus.
They were established with the Associated Press. They were established with the Trusted News Initiative. There are organizations and institutions that ensure that the information you receive is pre-chewed and doused in fluoride or whatever temperate chemical is required to keep you docile. So in a sense, I recognize that I'm not really significant other than the accidents of my circumstance, that I happen to be on YouTube relatively early, that I happen to be talking about the coronavirus relatively early. Individuals like me, they come, they go, hedonistic people that appear in movies and comedians that are a bit outspoken, disposable. What's important is our ability to communicate openly and truthfully and to be able to rely on principles like authenticity, integrity, and justice. Can we rely on them in the UK right now? Firstly, let's have a look at this woman, what's her name? Lucy Connolly, that's been jailed for a tweet. This is a response to a Joe.
No. Now this is Russell propaganda, okay? So if you want to check it out, this is on Russell Brand's channel. Okay, you guys can check that out if you want. But the rest of the show is like, the UK is horrible. I didn't watch it all, but like, this is how you know the UK is horrible. But I just wanted you guys to see how he explained his own situation and see how he sidestepped it. He distracted you. He was like, oh, I've been raping over here, but look over here, shiny. You know what I mean? He's distracting people to be like, but you don't even trust this government. Remember how they treated you? It's like, yeah. It's like, okay, relax. Like, look, as marginalized communities, as progressives, as people who believe in prison reform, we talk about constantly not trusting the government, not trusting the uniforms, not trusting the cops. You have to be wise enough to know sometimes they get it right. But for all the times they get it wrong, it is like life and death for these people. The dilemma with Russell's, I don't think they got it wrong. But the issue is that, you know, he's going to convince you that everything they do is wrong, so he could never be guilty. And it's that whole thing. It's that whole reality, the dichotomy between the idea that the government can't be trusted, but sometimes it can be trusted. Hey, kind of like, you know, everybody else in your life. Mabel, thank you so much for the super chat. Guys, thank you so much for the super chats. It really does mean so much to me. It means so much as somebody who's here. You know, can't guarantee getting paid just because you're on stream. So I appreciate that so much. Tired of this dude, but keep it up. Aunt Brittany, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And look, like, I want to give people hope and I want people to stay optimistic when times are hard. Because like, this is the time when we need to show up the most. It's easy to feel good when times are good. It's harder to do that when times are truly bad. And look, we are about to be hit. The economy is taking it, you know, it's tanking. Everything is very strange. Everything feels kind of crazy, but let the world be crazy. Don't become crazy with it. The world's always been kind of crazy. Doesn't mean we have to be crazy with it. But I know the temptation is there. I get it. I've been crazy with the world at one point in my life. Not anymore, girl. Not with these curls. Look at these curls. We have no time to be crazy when our curls are this pretty. You know what I mean? All right, let's move on.